welcome to another big G Sport interview. And every time we chat to someone, we try to bring you someone who's breaking boundaries. And the woman I'm sitting next to me right now is someone who's doing that. Award-winning in every right and going global. Every time I see her, I get a sense that she's taking South African women's football forward. I'm talking about Busisiwe Mokwena. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Can you believe how far you've come? And I always like starting there with people who have done so well. Can you believe how far you've come?
Sometimes, honestly speaking, no. But there are days when I just look back and think, oh wow, 10 years of reporting women's football and I'm here. Sometimes I think maybe I got here too fast, too quickly. Sometimes I think I've worked too hard and yet I'm not where I think I should be. But yeah, it's a 50-50 thing.
I remember encountering you when you first won a G Sport award a few years ago.
Yeah.
You were so quiet, you were so shy, you were almost nervous to accept the recognition. And it's hard to accept recognition for someone who usually tells the stories of the stars, right?
Yeah.
But over the years, you've become better at accepting the recognition. What has changed?
I don't think much has changed, actually. I still am that shy person, but I've learned to become vocal, especially, in women's sport matters, because no one else, takes it in their hands to do that. I think maybe one of the reasons, or one of the things rather that have changed is that I realized that I've built a lot, like I've put in a lot of work in what I do, in my reporting, the stories that I tell, and then when someone says, you deserve a pat on the back, and I'm like, actually, yeah, you are right. It's a lot of things. Sometimes also it's a confidence issue, because back then I just wanted to be in the background and tell stories. Whether people read the stories as much as I would have liked them to or not, it didn't matter.
You just wanted to get the work out.
Yes, but now I wanted to reach as many people as possible. I want my work to reach other countries as well, because it's reached the whole country, it's reached some parts of the continent. It's time that our stories reach other continents outside of Africa.
You got the biggest pat on your back in 2019 when you were appointed by FIFA to go off to the Women's World Cup. That was massive. I think for women's sports in South Africa it was huge, because so often the default setting is to choose a man to go do the job.
Yeah.
How did you get it, and what was it like?
How did I get it? So FIFA called September, who works at the PSL. He's the communications manager there at the PSL. They told him, we are looking for someone from South Africa to come work for us during the FIFA Women's World Cup. And he asked around. I know he asked Vilile Mnyandu from the SABC, he asked Nomsa Matlang from gsport, and she's also at CAF as well. He asked around who would be better suited for this role, and everyone said Busisiwe Mokwena.
That is amazing, though, isn't it? Like, it's so huge that I think it's going to take a couple of years for you to get through the levels of what you had experienced there.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. But I think what it has planted in me is that I want to work outside of the country more often.
Yes.
The Olympics are coming this year. I'm looking to find a position to work there. I'm looking into applying it
now because you can fly.
Yes, exactly.
But do you have the courage to?
I've built it.
Yes.
The FIFA Women's World Cup has actually, built
it's thrown you
that
out of your comfort zone.
It has.
It's thrown you out of your comfort zone. I can feel the difference in you since you've come back. That there's a sense of belonging to where you are and what you do. You're not looking as though you want to hide in the background anymore.
No, I'm tired of hiding in the background.
Yeah.
I'm tired of putting in the work and yet I never get the shine. I've changed in such a way that I want to become a leader in women's football, like media, as a sports media princess. I want to tell the story. I want to be in the forefront in telling those stories. I don't want to shy away anymore. It doesn't serve anyone any good. Doesn't serve me any good. Doesn't serve the sports women whose stories that I tell.
Because you're in the environment where you're telling amazing stories, right? But the last thing you want to do is be hiding from the very shine that you're giving other people, because it is going to come to you.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah, I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
I'm tired of it.
And I think young people are going to look at that and say that I want to be her because she's comfortable with being her. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Instead of hiding from being you because you want to make other people more comfortable.
Exactly. I think for me, by telling more of these stories, that's when I start to shine as well, because the stories that I tell make me comfortable in who I am as well. And then I start being more comfortable with being out there and just telling other people's stories and let other people come to me and say, oh yeah, I'm looking for a number of such and such a women's football player. Do you know how is she? Can I speak to her? Is she, you know, because like, I've changed. 2019 has made me grow. I don't think maybe at the time when certain things like the World Cup came and other things were happening in my life, the Gauteng Sports Awards were coming, I don't think I was ready at the time. But after or when those things were happening, I just started to bloom. And I'm like, oh, actually, there's this other, this other side of me that is really good.
Years ago, you would have got none of this recognition. Women's sport was absolutely nowhere. How much and how far have we come as women in sport?
We've come a long way, but I feel we still don't get the recognition that we deserve. A couple of weeks ago, I was having a chat with other two sports media princesses, Rachel Makura and Shonin Timkulu. We're talking about how the hype on women's football has died down after the World Cup. We still have amazing players. Why are we not telling their stories? Yes. Why does it still take Busisiwe or Shoni or, you know, all the regulars featuring or rather covering women's football? Do we have to wait for 2023 again when Banyana qualify for the World Cup?
Where is the momentum that was created?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think from how Banyana qualified for the World Cup, it should have continued with the rugby girls. Should have continued with the Proteas as well, because I mean 2023 is around the corner. Are people going to wait for 2022? Say, oh, actually next year we're having the World Cup. Let's start, covering women's netball, covering netball.
It's hard to start up the engine again.
Exactly.
You find that. Exactly. And when everyone's on a high, keep them on the high.
Keep them on the high.
Netball did that well, I thought. They did that
well. They still are doing it very well. They are in England at the moment for the Vitality Nations Cup. They're still keeping the momentum going. I think they are able to keep being in people's faces, which is what we want. But also we can't just let them do that only. It's not only their responsibility, it's also our responsibility as the media to follow up and find out, like, oh, Zanele, you played at the World Cup last year. What's happening this year? Hey, I've gone back to England to play there. We need to. Yeah. We need to. Otherwise, the stories will die. And then when we have to start telling them again, we have to go back too far and start reminding people again and building their interest. It gets tiring.
Who do you call on when the going gets tough?
Yeah.
When things are hard? Because listen, I can talk about the highlights all I want to, but people need to gain lessons and learnings, right? Yeah. And they gain it from the tough moments. When the chips are down, who's the first person you call?
I have a very good support system.
Yes.
I think it's what has kept me sane in the past year and a half or 2 years, but also my family before then. Right? So my family, firstly, and I'm a very good manager.
Which is so vital. Either have one who's good or don't have one.
Yes, yeah. But I think sometimes I abuse him because he does more than what he's supposed to. But I guess
enthusiasm is welcome. Yeah. We have no issue with that. But you have that support, so you can call on them.
Yeah.
Are they proud of you?
They are. I think so. I'd like to think so.
I think there'd be.
I think so.
Because I look at you and I think you're one of the few written storytellers we have from a women's perspective. There are very few women that have really stood out.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to break through that print environment?
Firstly, sports media is a boys' club in every way possible.
Are we still not breaking through?
We are trying, but it's
We're
quite
not really
slow.
getting in.
It's very, very slow.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because you need someone to move things forward. And I feel you've been that person where I see your byline and I go, it's possible. Are there more women coming through?
There are, but I think sometimes their passion dies too quickly. They give up too quickly.
Because it's a hard journey.
It's hard.
And you've said 10 years. Do you know how many people struggle to stay 3 years?
I know.
So 10 years is the
It's
internship.
really hard. It's really hard, and also it depends on the working environment that you have, the support system that you have in your working environment. I think I'm very lucky to have an editor like Busisiwe Mokwena, because he pushes me. Sometimes I'll be like, no, Busisiwe, this is not for me. It's like, no, but we've seen you win Gsport awards. Now I want to see you win other awards in the country.
Absolutely,
yes.
you did. You went on to win the Gauteng Sport Award, which was huge.
Yeah, when you have a working environment that supports you and wants to see you do well, it's easy for you to flourish.
Absolutely.
But then if you are in a working environment where you are constantly pushed and you are not seeing the results and you are not really patient, or maybe the passion is not quite there, you tend to give up easily. It's not nice, because I've seen a lot of women who just decide, you know what, maybe
Enough
this is
is
just,
enough.
I'll just go into communications or PR or whatever, and then they just leave, or they decide, no, I'll just go in the background, I'll just, be a sub-editor or whatever. But I would honestly like to see more women pushing.
When we launched the G Sport Awards, we didn't think we would unearth so many stars.
Yeah.
We know that you have gone on to become the star that you are, but when you look at G Sport, what it's meant to you personally in your journey, how would you sum it up?
Okay, I think before the G Sport, my first G Sport Award in 2014, not a lot of people cared. Like, they'd see the byline, like, okay, yeah, whatever, she's just telling women's sports stories. But then I think over the years, when my name came up over and over again in the nomination list, like, okay, fine, let's just focus on her, just want to see who is she, what is she about. And I think that has changed in how I've grown in what I do. The respect also that I get from my peers, also including males, in the industry. So it's, yeah.
Tony said the same thing. I mean, I think, she wasn't looking for the recognition, but now that she's learned to accept it, because I think she now is truly accepting it, she understands that it's important to recognize people that are doing well. And I think every time we recognize a woman, she stops apologizing for her success.
I think that's the one thing also that's starting to change about me. I've started to stop, or rather pause, or apologize less of my journey or my successes, of how far I've come. I think when I started to accept, all the recognition, things started getting better and better, and we're here now, and
And
we need, because sometimes it feels like we are arrogant about what we are achieving, but
it's confidence.
It is confidence.
You cannot allow yourself to say it's arrogance, because I hear that, and I, in my early years, was exactly the same. I always felt that I needed to hide. But it's 2020, it's an amazing year, and heading towards 2023, it's a great period.
Yeah.
What goals have you set for yourself?
There's so many. There's so many.
Going global, we know that.
Yes.
That's amazing.
So hopefully IOC will, come back and say, yeah, come and work for us. There's so many, but in 2020, I'd like to start seeing change in other people. So me investing in changing other other people's lives
Yes.
through the company that my manager and I are building. We want to see, would like to export athletes overseas.
Give them opportunity.
Yes, because it's rare that female athletes get recognition outside or maybe get professional.
They've got to do it themselves.
They
so
have to do it
often.
themselves.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was speaking to Baba Lwalacha last year, and she had to do it herself.
Everything. And
Everything,
like,
and she's
oh,
not
well
the
done
first
on
one.
Spain.
Yes,
And she's like, it was so
Baba
hard.
Lwalacha, Bongiwe Msomi,
Brazil.
Zanele, like a lot of female athletes that are working outside of the country had to do those moves themselves. And honestly, we can't let that happen because sometimes we don't know if they're getting what they deserve.
Yes.
They might be getting
Yes.
the raw end of the stick. So that's what I'd like to see, well, starting from this year, going forward. Personal goals, I think I want to go back to school again.
It's not a bad thing. It's just about timing.
Yeah,
How to fit all these amazing kind of things that you want to do
Yes.
into an environment and into the time is ticking. Everyone
It
tells you
is.
it's already the middle of January as you're sitting now. What is your advice to a woman who would like to not necessarily follow in your footsteps, but
Yeah.
do some of the things that you've managed to do?
Put in the work.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately the results are not going to show in the first 2, 3, 4 years. Might take time. Might take 10 like it did with me. It might take even more, 15, 20. But just put in the work, because if what you're doing is really worth it, or what you really feel you need to fulfill in your heart, just keep on working. It's not easy. Make
Yeah.
contacts.
Make contacts. You know that. Build your network.
Build contacts from around the country, outside of the country if you can. Just build as many contacts as possible, because those people can open up doors for you, outside of the country. So, yeah, pretty much.
It's been an amazing 10 years for you. My wish for you is that the next 10 years are absolutely sensational. Being someone who's entered into that environment of being over 20 years in the industry, I know that the first 10 years are the hardest. And after that, it starts getting fun. We are so incredibly proud of you because you are leading the way. And thank you for making time, because I know it's a busy time, but I thought if we can get you in the chair to tell your story,
Yeah.
a couple of young women are going to be inspired.
I hope so. I hope so as well.
Fantastic. Busisiwe Mokwena, a multiple G Sport award winner, and someone who's got lots of things planned. She's going global, baby.